but you try it again. How is everybody doing? I'm coming to you today on a couple of different streams. So I am on StreamYard. And ladies, those of you, and I also have two screens here. Ladies, those of you that are in my free Facebook group, Courage to Transition Your Career, if you click the button, the link, I will see your name when you make a comment on StreamYard. If not, I will just see your comment, and I'll also be able to look over in the group and see your name as well, because I like to multitask, right? So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Tawana Carter, a career and transition coach. And I help women overcome the fear and anxiety that comes with transitioning into a new career by empowering them to recognize and communicate their own unique value, and by instilling a deep sense of self-belief in their own strengths and abilities, so that they can actually confidently and courageously create success on their own terms and pursue a path of purpose that's meaningful to them, right? And we're going to give people just a few minutes to come on. So what was all that? Well, my first couple of transitions, my first major transitions, okay, they were a fail. Right? I'm going to try to sugarcoat that, but okay, they were a fail, right? And, now looking at it, right, I can say that it prepared me to do this, to help other professional women transition into new careers. So my first big transition, of course, was from college to the Army, United States Army, commissioned as a second lieutenant. And I did okay with that. I didn't know it at the time. I had social anxiety. My second major transition, though, came when I transitioned out of the Army. And that was a different story. That was like big fail, big fail, number one, right? So why did I say it's a big fail? Well, hey, Tamarcus, thanks for joining. Tell your mom, tell Angela I said hi. And baby sis too. Yeah, and as well as Courtney. Courtney used to be a student of mine. Courtney and I got history, right? Thanks for joining. So my first big career transition was, of course, from the military. I was a captain. I was getting out of the Army. And just before I got out, I had actually had a baby, and I had gained like 60 pounds. And needless to say, my confidence because of that had tanked. I'd always been a thin person. All my life been a fairly thin person. And I'm a tall person. I'm 5'9", right? And so when I wear my heels and everything, I could be, right at 6 feet. And so I got used to the tall thing eventually. But that weight thing really threw me for a loop, so that when I got out of the Army, I actually had, bought my little suit, pinstripe in blue and double-breasted. I was all set to interview. And I had my daughter, and then I tried on the suit because I was getting ready to go for interviews, and the suit didn't fit. And I was like, oh, shoot. Okay. And I tried it on in enough time. So I went to JCPenney's at Barksdale Air Force Base. I was still in the military at the time. And I went and tried on this suit in the next size, and the suit didn't fit either. Okay, what do I do with this? So I tried on the next size. It didn't fit either. And the sizes were done. They ran out. And I talked to the salesperson. I was like, I don't know what to do. I tried the 14 misses, and I tried the 16 misses, and I tried the 18 misses, and they don't fit. The suits don't fit. What am I supposed to do? And she just kind of looks at me like, there's a whole women's side over there. Like, it's 18W. And I didn't know, right? At the time, before I had to wear an 18W, I thought that the W meant wide, right? So when this lady told me I had to wear an 18 wide, I was like stunned. So she looked on the rack and she pulled off a black suit. She's like, yeah, try this on. It was like so nondescript. I mean, it was like so plain looking, compared to the suit I had already picked out for myself. So I go into the dressing room and I try on the 18 wide. I now know it was women, but I did not know it was women at the time. I tried on the 18 wide suit and it fit. And I just slid down the wall on the dressing room floor and I just bawled. I cried. And I know people walking around thought I was probably crazy, sit on the dressing room floor crying, just bawling my eyes out. I had never been that big before in my life. I'd never, I'd never worn anything over a 14 misses. I varied between 12, 13, 12 misses, 14 misses, and I just cried. And, confidence tanked, self-esteem tanked. And there I was. That was me in my first transition, wearing this quote unquote 18 wide. And I didn't know it was women at the time. And I would go in for an interview and I would see all the other ladies sitting there, and they'd be petite. They'd be like 5'3" and 5'4", and they'd be in their little petite, interviewing suits. And I was just going like, I'm not going to get this job. Look at them. Look how thin they are. Look how small they are. I'm not going to get this job. And that was the negative energy that I carried with me in the interviews. And needless to say, I didn't get the job. It was a mindset. So I'm here this week talking about other fears. So my fear in that career transition, which was a total fail, I ended up taking a job that was making less than half of what I made when I was in the military. And it took me at least 14 years to make up that salary. So that's why I do what I do, because we really don't have that kind of time to waste. You really need to make the money that you can make at the age you're at and get the best salary you can without being hampered by lack of confidence and lack of self-esteem and lack of self-efficacy or belief in yourself that you can actually do the job. And I had all those: low self-esteem, low confidence, no self-efficacy that I could do the job. So that's why I'm a career transition coach today, because I want to help women not to do what I did. I want to help women to transition to that new career with confidence and with courage, right? And so today I'm just talking about, and let me say that there is a comment section. I'm going to pop over there. So if you do have comments, go ahead and drop your comments, and I will be looking at them every so often to be sure that I read those. And I do have some notes here that I wanted to stay aware of. I used to be scared to death to tell people I use notes. So I use notes to bullet point, because I can talk and forget what I'm supposed to be telling y'all. And if you're going to spend the time to watch the live, I at least want to tell you what I said I was going to tell you. So I do use my bullet points for that particular reason. So I do have, like I said, and those of you that are on my page, you're seeing this on my page. Thank you for that as well, because like I said, it's a couple of different places this is. Those of you on YouTube, let me not forget, welcome. And those of you on TikTok, welcome as well. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate that. And as you join me, would you drop a hashtag live to let me know you're there? And as well, have you ever feared getting a new job because you thought that you were not going to be kind of up to stuff? Drop a hashtag one if you've been afraid that you were not going to live up to expectations of a new job. And if you don't have that problem because you're super duper like that, drop a hashtag two. So drop a hashtag one if you've ever been afraid that you weren't going to quite live up to what a new job would expect of you. If you've been afraid of failing, it's just another way of saying that. Drop a hashtag one. But if you've been like courageous and confident the whole way through, then drop a hashtag two, right? You might need to come work with me, right? Okay. And so, but yes, definitely that fear is a fear a lot of people stay stuck. They're afraid that I don't have what it takes to do something else. And I get this a lot when I talk to women. Some of it's because they've been at a job like 15 years or 10 years, and they're like, life has passed me by. The world of work has passed me by. I'm not going to be able to compete with younger people. I've been here too long. And so that's one fear that people have. Some people we all fear, a lot of us just fear change. It is a change in routines. You got to go to a different building, maybe. You got to go to work a different way. And you may have to change a daycare, depending on where your school is. All of those things are change. And some people just fear change. Some of us just really fear change. I found this also in talking to the ladies that I work with. Some of you are mentally or verbally or emotionally abused on your job. And some of you are in your personal lives. You've been mentally abused, emotionally abused, or verbally abused. So you don't quite have enough self-esteem within yourself. You don't trust yourself, right? Hey, Joyce, thanks for joining, Joyce. I appreciate it. And so that could make you afraid to change. Once your self-esteem begins to drop and that confidence level begins to drop, we fear change. What if I'm not worthy of that. I'm not good enough for that. I'm not smart enough to pick up like that. Or some of us fear nobody's gonna pick me up. I've been here 10 years. Who's gonna hire me now? Others of us just fear failure. What if I go for an interview and I do not get selected? What if that happens? What if I apply and I don't get accepted? So that's another fear, right? That people have, like, if I'm just not going to make it there. And so other people, we fear we're not going to cut it, and it leads to the fear of failure. But it's not so much us, but we fear failing in front of families or our friends, especially our coworkers or an old boss. Like you just like, oh my gosh, what if I don't make it and I fail in this new job? And worse, I got to come back because everybody's going to know I couldn't make it. Sometimes for some people, that is the one reason they will not try to get a new job. They will not even go for a promotion in the same company. They fear they feel the judgment of other people and what they're going to say if I can't hack it in that new job. So those are some of the fears that people have. Anybody else out there, what are some other fears that you have heard of? And I'm going to search around because, like I said, I've got a number of different tabs open to be sure that I see people as they're making comments, right? What are some other fears that you may have had, or if you've spoken to other people that you fear you won't quite cut the mustard in a new job? I know those were some of mine. Those were like all of mine. Let me just stop kidding. That was all of mine. It did. So, hey, Tanya, thanks for watching. We're talking about the reason some people fear they won't cut it at another job and they end up staying stuck in their current job. So we're just running down some of the fears that the things that people fear. And I was just saying that a huge one is we fear that if we get a new job and we just like fail at that job, we'll have to come back to old coworkers or go back to friends or go back to family. And it'll be embarrassing to have to know that we failed, and now everybody knows that we failed. So those are some of the fears that people have, and it keeps them stuck. And I've talked to women that have been stuck 15 years in the same job, and they hate it. They hate it. They've outgrown the job. They know they're underpaid in the job. They're doing way more work than what they're getting paid for. But this fear of I will fail if I go to another job because I can't cut it, will keep people stuck. Right? So how do we get around that? Because that's what we're here to learn about, right? How do we get around that? So one thing for certain that a lot of people don't know, because if you had a coach, you understand that coaches ask you a lot of questions. And I do. I ask a bunch of questions. I also make comments and other things, but I ask a lot of questions. Why do coaches ask so many questions? The brain doesn't like unanswered questions. We don't like unanswered questions, right? How many of you remember being in school, like maybe middle school or high school, and somebody walks by you and bumps into you and they keep going? They don't say, excuse me, or someone steps on your foot and they don't say, excuse me, I apologize, sorry about that. They just keep going. How many of you have had that happen to you? Give me a yes if you've had that happen to you, right? What did you do? Now, if you like tackled a person and beat them up, we'll discuss that later, right? We don't go there today. But probably what you did is your mind had a story as to why this person bumped you, stepped on your shoes, and didn't say a word and kept going. Your mind filled in a story for you. I bet you she did that on purpose. Who does she think he is? Who does she think she is? Who does he think he is? And then all of a sudden, we're in our feelings. We feel in some kind of way. And that's how many of fights have started in middle school and high school, because someone bumped somebody else accidentally and that person came up with the story. Our brains don't like unanswered stories. And we don't like unanswered questions, which is the reason why coaches will often ask you so many questions, because your brain will get those questions like, no, we must find answers to this. We don't like it. It's unanswered. And I don't like an unanswered question. I don't like an untold story. So how do you get around the fear that you will fail? You won't quite cut it at your new job. Start asking yourself questions. Ask yourself questions, right? Right? Like, what kind of questions? Got you covered, right? Like, I wonder what would happen if I apply for that job. Because some of us are so afraid we don't even apply for the job. Forget about going to the interview. And I have known people to cancel interviews because they were so afraid. But some of us don't even get there. We just won't even apply for a job at all because we're so afraid. But ask yourself the question, I wonder what would happen if I apply for this position? Because the brain doesn't like unanswered questions. And subconsciously, you will begin to like search out answers to that question, right? Another question. I wonder what would happen if I asked let me use Mr. Brown, Mr. Jeffries. I wonder what would happen if I called Mr. Jeffries up and asked for an informational interview. So you're not even applying for the job. You're just getting information on the job you may want to apply for. I wonder what would happen if I asked for an informational interview. Questions, right? I wonder what if I were in an interview, what would I say? I wonder what I'd put on my resume. I wonder, can I update my resume? What are the things I will add to my resume? Those are questions that you can start asking yourself. Now, those of you out there, if you're one of those people who ask yourself questions, drop in the comments. What are some questions that you would ask? If you're contemplating, like, am I going to make it or not? What are some questions you would ask yourself? Because I got some more, right? This is a big one. What would happen if I apply for the job, interview, and got it? Questions. What would happen if you got the job and you succeeded? Another question. All kinds of questions to ask, right? Then ask yourself this question. What will happen if I interview for the job, got the job, but I needed a little bit more knowledge on one particular task in the job? What would happen if I did that? Okay. Now, another question. What would happen if I just took one class? Hey, Allison, thanks for joining in. Appreciate it. Let me pop over to my profile real quick. I just want to be sure I'm not missing. Sometimes everything doesn't show up on my phone when I do a live. And I want to be sure that I'm asking there we go. It's there. Be sure that I'm entertaining your questions. So yes, ask yourself questions. Again, the brain doesn't like untold stories, and the brain doesn't like unanswered questions. We will start to fill stuff in. Think about it. If you ever had somebody to shove past you and they didn't say, excuse me, when they walked off, whether you had some choice words verbally out loud, or you had some choice words in your brain, you looked at them, gave them stink eye, and you were looking like, yeah, because your brain automatically filled in the story as to why someone would hit you, bump you, step into you, and not say, excuse me, I'm sorry, I apologize. Your brain will jump into a story and it will fill it in. And it will make good sense, right? It will make really good sense, except that your brain made up a whole story. So if you fear, right, you fear that you won't cut it at a new job, start asking yourself questions. And I'll pop these in the comments as well so that you could have these questions, because these are really good questions to ask yourself, because it will start your subconscious to asking these questions and start to answer them, right? Because I've done this. There are different fears that I have, because just because I'm a coach doesn't mean I don't have fear, right? But I will start asking myself questions, and what happens is your subconscious will go to town, start working. Let me start working on these questions, right? So I'm going to pop those in the chat, and as well, I'm going to comment with those so that you have these questions. So those of you who catch me on the replay, I do appreciate you each and every time. Thank you. So I'm going to put the questions out there so you can see the questions too. And for the ladies in my Courage to Transition Your Career, I put the questions out there for you as well, because these are good questions to ask yourself. Even if it's, for instance, I'm talking to you today about fear that I won't cut it in the new job. Some people just fear applying for the job in the first place. And you can use some of those questions, right? You can ask yourself some of these questions. What if I apply for the job? What if I'm wildly successful? Right? Start priming that brain to be successful. Start priming yourself to actually apply for the job. And we know when we need to pull up on some stuff. We're not expected to be people who walk around and know every single thing of every single job. Absolutely not. So if you need to take a class, fine, do it now. Remember that transitioning to a new position is a process. Some people get caught up because they think transition to a new career means you quit your job today and then you wait for the next job. No, don't do that. Some people may need to do that. If you're sick or mentally ill and, the job is causing you so much stress, you're close to a heart attack, you may have to quit your job then, because the doctor's like, it's either the job or it's your life. But for the most part, come see me. If you're there, you do need to come see me, right? Go ahead, and I do give free strategy sessions. Let's map out a step-by-step plan for you, because there is somewhere you can go. But, definitely you don't just drop a job before you have the next. I've seen some people do that because they've got their 6 to 12 months salary saved up, and they have everything saved up in savings, so they can afford to go 2, 3, 4 months while they look for a new job. If that's you, thumbs up. That is goals. Those are hashtag goals, right? But most of us can't do that. Career transition is a process. And when you start asking yourself questions like, what will happen if I take one more class? What will happen if I take a class? What will happen if I just take this assessment to show me where my challenges are, things that I need to pull up on? That's preparing you, because what happens is you start to answer these questions, you will start to absolve the fear of not hacking it in that new job, right? That is a goal, to prepare yourself so that you don't have to worry about the fear. You've got it. You've taken the training, you've taken the classes, you've done informational interviews, you've done all of that, and you've solved the doubt. So now you can have the confidence to go ahead and apply for that job and interview and get the job and do well in it. And I let you in on a little secret. Most jobs are going to give you 90 days, right? You got 90 days. And in 90 days, 3 months, you can bone up on what you need to. I promise you can. I have had a job that I actually took training of how to do the job on my own after I got the job, right? I had the basic stuff to do the job. When I got there, I was like, okay, this section, I'm not comfortable with what I don't know here. And I went and took a class, and I got comfortable with what I didn't know. Easy peasy. That is the way you do it, right? I know my gaps. I always know my gaps. And I would encourage you to always know what your gaps are, right? Know where your weaknesses are so that you can pull those up. If you know what they are, take a class, talk to someone. I'll be honest with you. The reason why I now have 2 businesses, I have a counseling practice, private practice, because I'm a licensed therapist, as well as a coaching practice because I'm a certified coach. I was never, ever in life going to own my own business. You couldn't pay me. No, I was never going to own my own business. My change happened because I spoke with my brother. My brother, Roy Carter Jr., has an MBA. He's a business guru of the family. He's into all that kind of stuff. And we talked on and off for about a year or so. And because I spoke with him, I actually went ahead and established my business. Most of you know, my counseling practice, JBC Counseling and Consulting, is actually named after my mom. It's Janelle Bush Carter Counseling and Consulting. But after I found the name, I talked with my brother to actually go into business. That's where I found the confidence to do it. Because I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to run a business. I don't want to do that. I'm happy working for somebody else all my life. I don't need to be bothered with that. But here I am with not 1, but 2 businesses, right? And so whether your career transition is to get a job because you want a promotion, you want to become a supervisor, you want to just, some people are in business, they want to become a nurse. Some nurses want to go teach. Some teachers want to become a nurse. Whatever your transition is, and many of you may want to transition into entrepreneurship. Whatever it is, ask yourself these questions. Ask questions. Your brains don't like unanswered questions, and it will start to to work things out for you. Okay. So do I have any questions out there? You guys are mighty quiet today. And like I said, I do have a couple of screens that I am looking at. Let me just move this on over here. Just want to be sure I didn't miss any comments. So I don't see any comments. And that is what I have today, ladies and gentlemen. I talked to you about people who fear that they won't hack it or they won't cut it if they get a new job. And I talked to you about how to start asking questions. And I've actually given you the questions that you can start asking yourself, and start asking yourself these questions and come up with many more questions. And if you find that you don't know the answer to a question, start doing the things that you need to do to answer the question, thereby resolving the doubt so you can actually go ahead and apply for that job, get the job, and feel confident that you'll be able to hack it and you will be able to cut it, right? So I do appreciate you all for watching. Now, those of you who are saying, yep, I hear you talking and I don't care, I'm still afraid, I'm not going to hack it. Never fear. I do provide free strategy consultations, about 45 minutes to an hour. We sit down, I talk with you, figure out where you are, where you want to go. And then we look at all the things going on that you believe can't get you there. And then we map out a step-by-step strategy for you to get there. So if you would like a position, you would like a free strategy session with me, drop a hashtag yes, right? Drop a hashtag yes. And I will, got to be hashtag yes, right? And I will contact you. I'll reach out to you via either email or DM, and I'll get that strategy session set up for you. And I always tell my ladies, bring a pen and something to write on so you can take notes, because again, you'll be getting a step-by-step plan of what you need to do and how you need to move forward. I do appreciate you all for joining me today. And again, those of you who catch me on the replay, thank you, thank you, thank you. Drop hashtag replay so I know that you caught me on the replay. And if you also want a free strategy session, drop hashtag yes, and I will reach out to you and set that up for you. Take care, everyone. Have a great evening.